Hi, I'm Eric Schmidt, and I write about music for Dirt. Death Cab for Cutie's thoughtful indie pop earned it a cult following that's now spilling over into the mainstream. The Seattle band released its Atlantic Records debut, Plans, in August, and plays at Denver's Fillmore Auditorium October 8th. In this interview, bass player Nick Harmer talks about the band's success before the OC and how it put out a major label record without trying to please anyone but the group itself.
Well, I write for a couple papers in Boulder, Colorado, and I know you guys are stepping through in another week or so, so I'd love to talk about anything about your tour and especially your new album. So I don't know where you'd want to start with that, but I guess maybe the first thing is when you guys signed to Atlantic. I remember something going up on the website about how, like the only thing that would change would basically be the logo on the package, and I'm just wondering, is that how you see this album working out, or what were some of the differences and similarities of before?
I think for the most part, there's a lot of there's more similarities in what we're doing now. What we did with this record and the last record, the differences. And granted, there's a lot of sort of cosmetic things that being on Atlantic is different. There's just more press opportunity, I suppose, and we're sort of a little bit more visible than maybe we would have been on Bassist records. But as far as the actual music and our approach and our process to making this record, it's very similar to Transatlanticism in that way. And we still use Chris, our guitar player, who's been our producer for all of the records we've ever done. Yeah. We pretty much just isolated ourselves out in the middle of nowhere in a farmhouse in Massachusetts, and kind of concentrated on making a record that we wanted to make. I think that kind of after everything settled down and there was I think what we all knew that we needed to make a record, and just for timing wise, we really wanted to get in the studio and start recording, but we didn't want to rush it, and we didn't also want to kind of get sidetracked by all the things that were sort of happening to us. Right. So it was just necessary, I think, for us to go out to Massachusetts and really just kind of get away from everything in our lives that were, either just kind of our normal life, and have nothing to do every day except wake up and make music and think about music and concentrate on music. So I'm really happy that we were able to do that. I think that's kind of one of the things we've never really done before as a band, is really just go for that sort of extreme isolation. And I don't know, it's hard to say if that had any impact on the music that we made or the record in terms of the kind of songs that we were writing, but because most of the songs we had already planned on recording before we went out there. But I'm sure that somehow it seeped into our subconscious on some level, I'm sure. I don't know. It's hard to say. I really feel like that this record has far more in common with Transatlanticism sonically than anything else in our catalog. And I certainly know, like I said, that the process and some of the some of the sort of more day-to-day decision-making decision-making meetings that we have are more similar to the Transatlanticism record than anything.
Okay. And I'm sure the pressures on this one must have been from both sides, I'd imagine, where there's some people who wanted you to change absolutely none, or else that would mean some kind of bad thing, and then people who wanted you to completely change, or does that, I guess, first of all, does that make sense? And then how did you deal with that?
Yeah, that does make sense. I think that's really perceptive. It is kind of one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't situations, and I think that sort of happens with any transition that a band like us, goes through. I think that, there are as many people out there that get mad if you do anything different than you've done before. Right. And then there are also people that think you aren't trying hard enough, or you've given up, something like that, if you do something that's too similar to the stuff that you've done before. So, ultimately, what do you do most? You kind of have to block a lot of that out and just make a record that, makes sense to you. And I honestly believe that we would have made this record on Barsuk or Atlantic. This is the
had any kind of backlash from people who are like, you know, for whatever reason see some kind of change or see you, you know, doing things that they wouldn't have had you do or something like that? Or
yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, I mean, that comes and goes, you know. I mean, I think that one thing that I really like about our band is that people form a really strong personal attachment to it, and so everyone has some pretty strong personal opinions about what we should or shouldn't be doing with our music or in press or media or any of that stuff. And so you're always bound to make some people happy and some people, you know, ticked off just because. But I think that I'm really happy about that in some ways, just because I think that it kind of means that people care. You know, I mean, I really think that, you know, it's kind of just, it's not, I mean, I don't mean to sound trite or anything, but it's kind of like life, you know. I mean, you kind of move through life, and sometimes people, you know, like what you're doing, and sometimes they don't, but either way, you kind of have to do it, you know.
Right. At least someone's paying attention.
At least someone's paying attention. Exactly right. So, I mean, I hope ultimately at the end of the day, you know, the one thing that we've always been very protective of, and something that we've always really watched is, you know, our own sort of integrity and our own decision-making process. You know, we're never going to find ourselves in a situation that we didn't decide as a band that we wanted to do. And, you know, there's none of this, like, you know, I don't know, there's no mystery stuff that sort of happens to our band or anything like that. You know, we're pretty much in tune with everything that, with all the decisions that get made in the band, with everything that comes our way. And we're very proactive about how we approach our music, and we're very protective of it as well. I mean, in some ways, you know, we want to sell records, but, you know, we don't want to become wallpaper at the same time. So it's such a fine dance.
Yeah.
Between those two.
For being a very, like, you know, pretty album, like, you know, as is kind of your style, this one seems also very dark. Like, there's a lot of talk of you know, death and getting older and you know, not so happy things necessarily, and like wondering, like, you know, where does that come from, and is, you know, is that kind of a theme in the album that holds it together, or what's the?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a theme. I mean, I really think it comes from just our world right now. I mean, these are pretty dark times we're living in right now, man.
Okay. Yeah.